let's get started. So how to generate additional revenue from existing customers. Again, Liz Gill, and I'm the Director of Customer Marketing at Buildium. So just a little bit more about me. I've spent over 10 years of marketing. I have over 10 years of marketing experience in B2B SaaS. I'm currently leading the customer marketing team at Buildium. So we are very focused on cross-sell, upsell. We have over 10 add-on services, loyalty and retention, and advocacy. I've also spent over 7 years at athenahealth, where I developed and implemented marketing strategies resulting in for 87 million in revenue, and also implemented the company's first client referral program. So very excited to talk about that. So yes, a lot of experience. So a lot of this will be focused in B2B SaaS, but I think a lot of it can also be taken to B2C as well. And just a little background that Buildium is property management software. So our customers are property managers who manage residents. And so a resident who is renting typically an apartment are their customers. So our customer's customer, for a little bit of context. And you know, because we are in these crazy times, I thought a fun way to kick us off would be my favorite quarantine meme. This is from a colleague. So I think this just about sums it up. If anyone has any other really good memes, definitely send them my way. It's how I'm keeping sane during this time. So what we're going to talk about today, as thinking of when putting this presentation together, how to drive revenue from existing customers, really thinking about the customer journey. There are so many different touch points along the way. And so how in my career have really been able to build out framework for these campaigns, and then just giving, you know, practical case studies of successful upsell campaigns along each stage of the journey. So hopefully there are some takeaways for folks there. And then at the end, just wanted to make this really practical and give you some helpful nuggets. So some tools and resources that both I've found useful and other colleagues that I've worked with have used as well. And so essentially why we're here talking about this today, it's 3 times cheaper to generate expansion revenue, and how they're defining expansion revenue is revenue from upsells, add-ons, and cross-sells than it is to acquire new customers. So really important to tap into your base. And before we get into this, we do have a Zoom poll, Steph, if you don't mind. Just curious who in the audience where your focuses are. If you're B2B, B2C, B2B2C.
Definitely, I just launched it. So in true marketing bootcamp style today, I'll have like 30 seconds to fill it out, and then the countdown begins. No pressure or anything, but now it's a good time to figure out your type of company. All right, guys, a couple more seconds until we close this poll, so definitely make sure that you vote. All right, we're going to close it in 3, 2, 1, end of poll. All right, I'm going to share the results. Liz, if you don't see it, just let me know and I can verbally share.
Yeah, great. So I see 53% are B2B, 28% B2C, and then 19% B2B2C. So thanks, that's helpful. Okay, so this is really my North Star for customer marketing. So delivering the right message to the right person at the right time with the right channel to drive engagement, retention, and revenue from current customers. So you'll see this come up quite a bit as we talk more about the framework. And really the customer journey. So how, this is just a helpful way to think of what are all those touch points along the journey where there's an opportunity for driving revenue and preventing customers from leaving. So this one is a bit specific to SaaS. So customer sign up, onboarding, basic usage, they're really starting to see the value and taking on new tasks and hitting different milestones. And then you've got super user and advocate. And then of course there's the at-risk. And so along that path, as I mentioned, the framework, so thinking, and we'll talk a bit more about each stage, kind of thinking through this framework at each stage to drive revenue. So what are the key upsell opportunities? Some that we focus on our upgrading package, going from monthly to annual pricing plan, add-ons and services and different integrations. And then what segment are you targeting? So what are kind of the firmographic segments or demographic segments? At Buildium, we really focus on customer size, what the user role is, And what are the different triggers or milestones? So I'm either accomplishing a certain task or a certain number of tasks, or I've abandoned a workflow and I need to get back into the swing of things. And then, of course, what's that channel that you're using to drive engagement? I think multi-channel is best. And so a lot of there are a lot of free options. So between email and in-app messaging, those are the two you'll see more in this presentation. Outbound call, we have a BDR that calls into our customer base for cross-sell, upsell initiatives, which we're seeing a lot of success with. And then, of course, social media. We won't spend long here. This is kind of putting the two of those together, the customer journey and the different kind of parts of the flow in the segment. I had initially a slide that showed the one that we used for Buildium, and it was basically an eyesore of an internal document. So try to pull it up a bit more to the top here and just show how I typically approach this. So, right, what are the different stages of the life cycle at the top there during those different stages, what are those key milestones to drive engagement? So what are these ideal milestones that you want these customers to hit? And then the segment is along the horizontal or the vertical axis of, okay, if I'm, for example, from Buildium, I'm the property manager, to hit that milestone, what are different triggers and messages, and what's the action that I want to take? So this is kind of how we think about building out different campaigns. So with that structure, let's start on the journey. So sign up and onboarding. So really, this is about maximizing the first 30 days. And just some examples of where I think there's opportunity. Let's first talk about add to cart, right? This is taking a cue from Amazon's really successful playbook of a customer has just signed up, they've got their credit card in hand. How can I maximize that opportunity? There's a lot of places, a lot of apps that do this really well, but Amazon, I think, really nailed it. And so what can we learn from them? And I'll talk about a case study just after this. And then automating the onboarding process with a multi-channel approach. So really onboarding is so important. That's where, traditionally you lose a lot of your customers in the first 30, 60, 90 days because they're just not getting started. They're hitting barriers and they're not able to see the value. So how can you get customers engaged right out of the gate, demonstrating value early on? And I'll talk a little bit about one-to-one service and how you can really scale that because it's expensive for one-to-one service. So how can you automate that? So just quick case study that Buildium launched. My team launched, I think it was about a year ago now. So surfacing add-ons at checkout. So our goal was to drive add-on awareness at the point of sale. So you'll see this on the screen to the right here. So we surfaced as soon as someone was about to make a purchase, made a purchase. One of our users, we surfaced 3 different add-ons that we thought would be a benefit to what they were purchasing. So, and asked them to indicate interest. So we would follow up with them to continue on with the adoption. So the segment we targeted was self-converted customers. We do have so no sales touch, right? If we have a sales executive talking to them and selling them, they're typically talking about these add-ons, but we didn't have a solution for those who are self-converting. So I wanted to create a solution to help drive that awareness and adoption. Of course, the trigger, they've just signed up for a subscription. And the channels, we used a multi-channel approach. So after they indicated that they were interested, we followed up with an in-app message, which you can see at the top here. We use Evergage to trigger these types of messages in apps. Also an email. So we had a personalized email that was really following up on kind of the key benefits of the add-ons that they were interested in. And then if that customer hadn't converted in 10 days, we had a follow-up call from our cross-sell, upsell, cross-sell BDR. And we had some great success. We started it with a test. And so to skip to the fun part, we had some great engagement with the different channels, but overall we saw a 14% lift in the add-on usage over the control. So pretty pumped about that. And then just another case study to talk to the automating onboarding. So the goal was to scale our one-to-one onboarding program. At Buildium, we have a really kind of human touch approach that has worked well to handhold our customers to get them started on Buildium. And we wanted to see how we can scale that, because it's not scalable to continue that higher onboarding. So how can we mimic that program without losing that touch and helping our customers be successful? Because we were seeing if they were signing up and not getting that contact, that had a higher churn rate. So our segment was customers who don't receive professional onboarding, professional one-on-one onboarding triggers. We had initially started with time-based, but found that these triggers were much more impactful. So you'll see that this is really, my colleague Elise built this out of what is the flow, what is that, going back to those milestones, what is the ideal steps that customers need to take to drive engagement and adoption of this program, and let's trigger different emails off of that. And so we created there were about 5 to 6 different touch points that we wanted to help drive them to the next stage. And so we used a couple different channels here. We used in-app messaging, email, and the emails drove to Buildium Academy, which are our self-guided videos, or video tutorials that are a little bit more have in-depth training, and then a webinar. So hopefully, again, trying to mimic that human touch that they were getting in the one-on-one, but at scale. And so it's doing well. There's definitely more that we want to test. So one area that we're looking at next is more of a self-guided tour in the application, because email is great, but typically only 50, if at best, 40% of people are opening it. So if we can get them, if they're in the app, using tools like WalkMe or App Cues to help with that self-guided tour. And so again, just saw some really great results as we're continuing to push them on their path. And this is also a good opportunity to highlight some of the add-ons that we would be pushing on a bit more when they got into the basic usage stage. So pretty happy with these results. And of course, as part of the sign up and onboarding, welcome emails. These, I geek out on this. I think it's so much fun. I save, all the templates that I get that I think are good inspiration for as we continue on our different campaigns. So there's both B2B and B2C here. To the left, if anyone uses Monday, I thought this was a great tool. It's a project management system, and so this was just all the most relevant calls to action to get started. And then on the right, again, it's B2C. It gets me to understand. I feel more of the human component of this product and feel like I'm just part of the team. So I'll make a plug for it later, but reallygoodemails.com. There's a ton of good content there and a lot of inspiration for different email templates and great way to get new ideas. So moving on to the basic usage stage. Right here, they've signed up, they've gone through onboarding. So really proving value and driving engagement. This is a great time to introduce a referral program. As I had mentioned, I worked a lot at Athena on the referral program, so I could have a whole other discussion just on that. Would love to chat with anyone more about that. But just these 2 quotes alone are really important for why you should have a referral program. So I'll pause there because we do have another poll, and it's around referral programs. So does your company currently have a referral program?
You got it. People are already voting. It was like the minute you said I already had it up. I was like, anytime
awesome.
It's going to happen.
Yes, would love to know.
All right, guys, we're going to give us a few more seconds for this one. So last final votes in 3, 2, and 1. All right, we're going to end the polling. Sharing results.
Oh, interesting.
There you go.
Okay. All right, cool. So I think everyone can see, but 30% yes, and then 70% no. For the no's, I highly recommend, I'll get into a little bit more detail here, but there's some examples of what we do at Buildium and then at athenahealth. So just some real quick, building a referral program, really first identifying your referral sources. So who are these customers that you think would be good referrals? They honestly live at all stages of the journey. At Athena, we honestly had some success when they had just signed up, even if they hadn't really been using it, but if they had a really good experience with the sales rep or just in the sign up process, they were also good. But we also trigger it off of NPS score. mean, the main question of NPS, which is a score that there are a bunch of tools out there that you can use to kind of ask your customers. The main question is how likely, on a scale of 1 to 10 or 1 to 5, are someone to this product or service. And typically anyone who scores between an 8 to a 10, that's a good indicator that you should be asking them for a referral. And then really identify your incentives. So this definitely depends on how much the product or service is. For Buildium, it is we close the deal, the person who referred, if you referred a friend, you get up to $400. Again, that's very different for Athena, right? They could have gotten up to $3,000 just because it's a completely different service, and the MRR is completely different. So it's just a matter of what makes sense for your business, and incentivizing both the referrer and the referral is key. And it might not always be money. It could be, right? It could be money. It could be money off on your either subscription or product. Donating, it could be donating to a charity on their behalf, or social accolades, whatever it is. Setting up tracking, super important, both so you can see what the conversion rates are and so you can kind of close the loop at the end. So all those, both the referral and the referee, know kind of where you are. And then promote. There's so many ways to promote this. Obviously, there's the standard email. We do it in the application, again, based on different triggers. If they've just taken an NPS, if they've just given us their NPS score, and then we trigger right off of that if they are happy. If they just had a good engagement, a strong engagement with someone on the team, whether it's a customer success agent or the call center, using social media. At athenahealth, we had a program called client hosted dinners, and it was essentially having a customer invite 5 or 6 friends to dinner, an informal dinner on us, and having that customer really just talk about their experience using athenahealth. And of course, they were rewarded if anyone had took a meeting and then signed up with for the services after. So we've found this is one of the highest converting channels, lead gen channels. So anywhere from 20% for a while at athenahealth, we were seeing sometimes upwards of 40% from opportunity to close. So it was huge. And what made it successful was, of course, those incentives and then kind of touch points along the way, both to help get the person who referred them, even if the referee needed one more little kind of nudge to close the deal, they were incentivized to help do that. So can't talk enough about that. Again, went to both have received this as a consumer, and then went to the reallygoodemails.com, which is always a great resource for some different inspiration. So lots of good examples out there for referral inspo, email inspo. And then in basic usage, what we had talked about, kind of switching gears of really nailing down those key milestones and opportunities. So to the right is an example of a sheet that we put together at BillVia. We call it, our internal term for it is seducible moments. I like that. It might creep out some people, but really listing out what are our add-ons and what are these moments, what are these triggers, what are these seducible moments that are good opportunity to surface this add-on. Again, whether it's an action that they're taking, a pain point that they may be experiencing, something where they might not know it's a pain point, but can be done faster, easier, less expensive. So really thinking about kind of what those triggers are. And then the right message. So highlighting, kind of using a proof point, or if it's a testimonial, what's the value driver? So I highly recommend this exercise. And so from this, we've come up with a couple different campaigns. I'll highlight one in particular. So one of the key add-ons at Buildium is tenant screening. So this is essentially when a resident is applying for a apartment and they fill out the application, and before they get it, the property manager is usually doing screening with a credit bureau just to make sure that they have good credit, a good background, no evictions. So it's a key add-on for our customers. But of course, we wanted to prove the value and target those who don't have it and may have started to apply for it, but lost abandoned cart in the middle of the process. And so used a trigger of this is an action taken in the app of posting a listing. Essentially, that means that a unit opens up, so we know that they're going to be looking to fill this. So this is a good time for them to start thinking about what type of applicant that they want for this, and what type of renter that they want. And then using both in-app messaging and email, so multi-channel approach with testimonials and proof points to really get to the message and to the core of why customers should use this. And so we saw some great engagement rates here, and surpassed our goal. So we're excited about that, and wanted to show some just other options. Again, I know these are a little SaaS heavy, but I think folks can relate to having seen these and can kind of put it in perspective of how you could use this in your own marketing your own business or product or service. So Spotify, I know I've definitely seen this and it worked because I'm now a premium user, but free Spotify users are allowed to skip 6 songs per hour. After that, they're prompted to upgrade to a premium feature. So it really allows the user to see opportunity in context and understand how it would benefit them. This is really introducing upsell during a potential pain point. So I know this has helped me think through some different areas where something like this could be useful. And then they also position this upsell as a moment of discovery. So instead of just saying upgrade now, it's you've discovered a premium feature, which makes it sound more exciting. Example from Zapier, so enticing users with a teaser. We're actually thinking of using something similar to this. So with upgrading to a new package, so kind of having a section that's grayed out, and if they want to see it or start to use it, you know, posting something like this for customers that need to upgrade. So really it occurs while the users are already motivated to complete the task at hand, and just a simple and direct call to action with a single button to upgrade. Dropbox also does this pretty well. So they have persistent upsell prompts to highlight restrictions of a free plan. So you can see just a couple examples. There's the ever-present prompt on the right, but it's dismissible. Or excuse me, the ones on the bottom right is dismissible, and they show a couple examples of how they switch it up. Looks like they switch up the image and have a little bit of fun with it. They switch up the image, they switch up some of the text. So some good ideas there between the small box on the right and then just the ever-present on the top right. That's always an option. So moving from basic usage to really super user and advocates, and this is tapping into this space and preventing the loss of revenue here. So creating a community, this is something that we are starting to look at for Buildium. If anyone has done that, I don't have a full question on it, but would love to, if someone is either in the works of doing that or thinking through creating a community or has done it and done it successfully, would love to tap into you, because this is something that I'm really excited about that I think would be really helpful for our customers. So what everyone who I've talked to has said that, you know, this is a fantastic way for their customers to both, you know, there are so many kind of key things that come out of this. Your product team benefits from it, your sales team benefits from it, you learn from your customers, you get marketing ideas, customers learn from each other, so it reduces support volume, product learns about different difficulties that customers are having. But it's really important to establish your goal. What are you looking to get out of this community? And then really gauging customer interest. We just did a survey a couple months ago, tacked onto a couple other customer comms questions, but asking our customers what their interest in the community would be. And I think about 80% of them said they were interested. And then also we asked them what platform would they be interested in, which I think is also an important question, because if you're thinking you're going to do Slack and your customers are just not very familiar with that, you might have some tough adoption there. But there's a lot of platforms that you can use for a community: Facebook, Slack, LinkedIn, Salesforce. There's a customer marketing Slack community that I'm part of, which I think is fantastic. We've explored a little bit more about Facebook because we think our customers are there a bit more than these others, but some great options there that range in price. And then some communities to check out as I've been doing this research. Atlassian is a great one, Toast, Marketo, and Sephora. There's a bunch of B2C communities out there, so definitely a plug to look into that a bit more, and it doesn't need to be an expensive lift, and I think it can do wonders to continue to build retention for customers. And then just also these customer love campaigns. Me and my team love doing these. They're just so fun and rewarding to work on, and I think our customers really appreciate them. Here's an example of one that we did recently, an anniversary campaign. So this is really celebrating each year, and it comes around their annual subscription renewal. So this is a time where hopefully they are knowing they're going to renew, but if they have a hesitation around there, they'll get this lovely email that links to a video that is, we created a video called Share the Love, and it's all of us Buildians talking about experiences we've had with our property managers and how it can be such a thankless job, and we really appreciate them. And they're while most of the time people are like tenants are calling to complain to them about a broken laundry or all this, that, and the other, it was just they I think appreciated a video on their behalf. So linked to that and just had a lot of fun doing this campaign. And so finally, really customers making sure you are tapped into your customer health IQ to prevent the loss of revenue. So how are you tracking your customer health? There's a lot of different ways that you can do that. At Buildium, we have an engagement score that is built up of about 15 essential tasks that our customers should be doing, or add-ons that they should have adopted. And so if they have, our kind of average is 50, and so if they're above that, that's wonderful. They're super engaged. We're not worried about them. And if they track below that, we really need to invest more time and resources in them to keep them. So tracking that health is important. Also doing a biannual NPS survey. Again, there's some good, I think, cheap tools to do that, where how satisfied are you? How likely are you to refer us? And an opportunity for them to leave comments is really important. It's another surveying technique for your customers, just to get a gauge on your customer health. And then really identifying common areas of drop off in the life cycle and creating touch points around that. So where are they in action, like they're not logging in or they're not adopting key features. And so an example of a campaign that we did around this that we called our AtRisk Nurture. And so the goal was really to drive user engagement, but also reduce the churn, so prevent our customers from leaving us. So really track, what actions they are or are not taking. And so we wanted to segment, again, a low engagement score. So that's a larger score that we have based on different tasks that they are or are not doing. Or they haven't adopted certain add-ons. There are certain add-ons that we have where if you haven't adopted it, you're not fully getting the most that you can get out of our service. And so different triggers, either I haven't logged in 30 days, my engagement score has dropped, I've either signed up or I haven't signed up for this add-on, but I'm not using it. So we use these personalized emails. Again, you can see it's not really a heavily templated marketing email. It's supposed to look like it's coming from their inbox. And so this audit, we have customer success managers we essentially call them churn fighters, but they have a ton of accounts under them. So we wanted to help scale their process and sense these out instead of them searching for customers and calling customers who may be disengaged and try and re-engage them, automating that with these emails to help re-engage them. And the call to action was to set up some time on the calendar using Calendly. And so we saw some really good success there. And then we also, for those accounts that didn't have a success manager, sent out something a little bit more generic, but again, trying to drive value to our customers and re-engage them. And so that's it for the actual, I feel like I talked really fast. I hope that wasn't too fast, but I made it through all the stages of the journey. And I just wanted to leave folks, I think, Steph, you're gonna put this in the chat, but some practical resources for a takeaway for your cross-sell, upsell, and retention toolkits. I've gotten a lot out of these resources. As for the tools, Vidyard, if you haven't heard of it, you can create, host, and share videos with customers. So this is a pretty cost-effective tool that allows you to really personalize and humanize your process. You can use this as for a welcome video, for, from onboarding to webinar to, at different stages of the life cycle to make your campaigns a bit more dynamic. We use Thankster a few times. It's handwritten cards that can be automatically mailed. Again, they look really legit, and they legit look handwritten, which has a much higher open rate. This is a nice retention campaign that we did around the holidays. And then Calendly or Groove, this is gold, so online appointment scheduling software. So using this for those kind of higher touch customers where potentially just the more passive email and in-app might not be working, where we really want to have a phone conversation with them. So arming sales and customer success with the tools to easily hop on the phone with customers. And then these resources, I think, are really helpful. I mean, 45 email and social media referral program templates. HubSpot does an amazing job with all of their resources. If you haven't gone to their blog, I highly recommend you do, because I've gotten a lot of both templates and inspiration and just learnings from their blog. It's really powerful. The Comprehensive Guide to Churn Profitwell is another fantastic resource. This guide in particular, I think it's like 70 pages, but it will teach you everything you need to know about churn and how to track it, how to measure it, how to prevent it, some really great campaign ideas. I plugged this earlier, but reallygoodemails.com. I go to that constantly. It's just it's a collaboration of all of these fantastic, again, all different B2B, B2C. They've organized it in a way where you can easily find what you're looking for and get some great inspiration. The Upsell Starter Kit Intercom Guide. So Intercom is a service for essentially chat, but they have some really great content. I love their voice. They have a really unique voice and tone, and I've learned a lot from their guide. So this one, especially for the purpose of this conversation, the Upsell Starter Kit is helpful. And then also how to use upselling to increase customer happiness, retention, revenue, Groove blog posts, a lot of good stuff there. Just as far as ideas and inspiration, specific to SaaS, AppQ's blog is also another great resource. Have a lot of, that's where I found some of the inspiration for the basic usage, like Dropbox examples, and they have just a ton of just examples and kind of user experience tips and tricks. And so
awesome.
That's it.
This is amazing. I mean, if I'm like anyone else who's been kind of listening in, I feel like I'm taking so many notes just to like follow and make sure I remember everything. But rest assured, guys, all of you listening, you will receive a recording of this as well, probably tomorrow, because I have to convert it and like trim down the beginning part just to make sure that you don't have to constantly listen to my pitch every single time. But I'll send it over your way tomorrow so that you can kind of go back and re-listen to it. Also, all of the notes that our resources Liz just mentioned, I also put in the chat. So definitely check those out. And I also included Liz's LinkedIn, so you should definitely follow her as well, because she's amazing. Liz, do you have any kind of final remarks from your end before we sign off here?
Well, thanks everyone for your time. I hope some of this was helpful. That's why I wanted to have a leave behind with the resources and toolkit, and always happy to chat anything kind of customer marketing, cross-sell, upsell, retention, advocacy. We live it and breathe it every day at at Buildium, and had at a past life at athenahealth. And it's really, it's a fun journey.
Thank you so much, Liz. Really appreciate your time.